again, I want to thank you for coming out here tonight. We're going to get things started off with some music from my friend Myles Bullen. He has such emotion and soul in his music, and it touches me every time. I think it's going to reach out to you as well. So put your hands together for Myles Bullen, please. So blessed to have you here.
You guys can come in a little closer if you like. I've been plagued to vacate comfy surroundings, abdicate romance, abandon commitments. Convictions got me grounded. Like going overboard head first before learning the fundamentals of swimming. That hurts. Drowning in the source of all life. How ironic. Invisible God as a witness. How iconic. Knocks at doors, collecting profit to cross-pollinate to the offense of an awful conscience. Our synthesis is hypnotic, aquatically dripping ambition, chanting psychotically. Our vision epiphany polished. We belong to the cosmic abyss, and we don't know you shit. Promenade with bodies, wear a name tag, softly disappearing with a sonic enchantment. Marveling your tenderness, ceremonious house shows are so hospitable. Never know where life goes, answers are subsequent. Seeking for secrets to be seen and then deleted. I fiddle with minutes and put some sentiment in it. I'm fucking screaming for a deeper meaning. But I guess the passion was absent today. Roll out that yoga mat, chant mantras, press palms together, pray. Mom lives another day. God doesn't have a word to say. Speechless like always. I put my faith in warm people on the cold days. Get to know yourself first before you'll ever get to know me. Elevate, feeling high, celebrate, wonder why. Meditate before I die, what a waste of good time. Swallow candle flame, gonna make myself shine. If I follow all the greats, gonna make art with rhymes. Gonna need a bigger place, more space and more time. Got a fistful of wishes, ambition is lifting and hitting the ceiling. Gotta put in the minutes, the hours are stacking up, no one is sleeping. Devoted to dopeness and grateful as fuck that I don't get dope sick no more. No, I'm done. Addiction to pharmaceutical prescriptions is R.I.P. Dead to me, unequivocally. Kill the possibility of not being heard. I put the weight of a dead body in my words. Word, I'm growing out of this greenhouse. I need richer soil in order to grow these dreams out of this world with the supine twist. I spin webs with merchant lips, a maternal wordsmith. And we belong to the cosmic abyss. And we don't owe you shit. And we don't owe you shit. Thank you.
One thing I wanted to do really quickly is make a plug for the Lavender Greens. Who here knows what the Lavender Greens caucus is? Got some yoo-haws and hoorahs? So Lavender Greens caucus is for the LGBTQ plus community. And so we have it at the national level. We also have it here in state now again. And so Reggie Dunton, who's here, and Jake Kulaw, who is also here. We're going to have Jake speak in a little bit to talk a little bit more about the Lavender Greens caucus. But there's a 50-50 raffle in the back. You can go ahead and jump in on the 50-50 raffle with the Lavender Greens. I think, is it closing at 11? 11:30, okay. So anyways, if you want to get in for the 50-50 raffle with the Lavender Greens, please do so. So at this point in time, I'd really like to get some of the candidates that are going to be running for office in 2020, and also some candidates from the past, some of our past Greens that are here tonight. And it's again, we've got a really good cross section, different eras of the Green Party here in Portland and in Maine. And of course, I didn't rate. So again, I was really hoping for the slideshow to go on and a little bit of background music while I wrangled all the troops to speak. But actually, first on my list, that was generated for me, is Lisa Savage. Is Lisa Savage in the house, or is she ready to? Oh, Lisa, please come to the stage. So it is such a pleasure to pass the mic to Lisa Savage. This is somebody that we all need to hear from and get the word out about. This is such a huge moment for us here in Maine, and thank you, Lisa.
Thanks, Justin. Okay, everybody. Well, this is a really fun event. Thank you for inviting me. The music has been amazing. I am Lisa Savage. I am running for the U.S. Senate seat of Susan Collins under ranked choice voting as a Green. And no matter what the outcome, this is a historic election because ranked choice voting will be in play. We've already seen what it can do. And I think that there's going to be a lot of excitement around the Maine election coming from all over the nation and really probably internationally because Mainers worked really, really hard to get ranked choice voting, and it increases our voices and our choices, and it's a very much more democratic way to elect people. So Maine is in the lead. Dirigo is our motto, meaning I lead, and I think that many other places are going to follow along. So I am going to be working hard for a Green New Deal to create good jobs tackling the climate emergency that we're in by creating green energy systems and also commuter rail, solar panels, and so forth. If you know me at all, thank you. If you know me at all, you know that I've been working for some years on the conversion of Bath Iron Works proposal to say, let's stop building warships there. We could create far more jobs building solar panels or commuter rail there at the General Dynamics plant in Bath, and we should be doing that. The argument that jobs are the reason that we can't do it is not true. It would actually create more jobs if we would build things that people actually need instead of building weapon systems that make the world less safe and also are hastening climate crisis. The Pentagon is a huge contributor to greenhouse gases, and it's not a green operation at all. So it would be a win-win if we could convert away from building weapons to building something that we need. I'm also going to work very hard for Medicare for all. The health crisis in this country is impoverishing so many people, and really profit and health care should not be in the same sentence as far as I'm concerned. Health care is not an area where we need to have profits being made, and we would save at least 30% of the cost of delivering health care by going to a single-payer system. We also really need to address the student debt crisis. Young people are being impoverished for a lifetime by all this debt that they signed on to get an education. It's a ridiculous system to do it that way. We need to forgive the student debt that's out there, and we need to guarantee people public higher education without debt, because we need to invest in young people's ability to learn and grow and contribute to society. Now we have generations of people that can't start a family, can't buy a house, can't start a business, because they're laboring under these student loan payments that the legislation was written so that even if you declare bankruptcy, you can't get out from under that kind of debt. How can we put someone in a lifetime of debt that they signed on to when they were 18 or 19 years old? That is just immoral, and it's bad for society and for the economy. Here in Portland, I think we have some other particular problems. Affordable housing is a huge issue for Portland. We don't want only rich people to be able to live in Portland. That does not make a good society, and we need to really attend to the fact that people are being priced out of their neighborhoods and out of their buildings, and for profit, because developers are making profits off it. We really need to address that in a big way and not just pay lip service to it and then let the developers do what they do and boot people out of their apartments, and there's no place for them to go. Statewide, I live up in Solon, Maine, and the opioid crisis is just as bad in the area where I live as it is down here in southern Maine and all across. One of our problems is treating it like it's a criminal justice issue. It's really a health issue. And reducing harm and treating addiction for the mental illness that it is really imperative for us to move forward as a society. We're seeing a lot of lives and potential wasted that we really need. We have a lot of problems to solve. We have a climate crisis that is barreling down on us, and we need everyone's minds and hearts and hands to work together to address this threat to our, to life on the planet. The other thing that I want to remind us of is that anywhere we are in Maine, we're standing on Wabanaki land that was stolen at least by my ancestors, and that if we would be mindful of the wisdom of the indigenous people who lived here for 12,000 years at least sustainably, without crashing the climate, and without polluting the waterways and ruining the air and the soil, we wouldn't be in the mess that we're in today. And I think it's very important, for me at least, to remember that wisdom is still with us. It's still, the indigenous people are here in Maine, they are our neighbors, and the more mindful we are of the way that they approach living on the planet, I think the more likely we are to pull ourselves back from this cliff of climate crisis and start out in a more healthy and sustainable direction. So I thank you very much for your time. The big challenge that's facing my campaign right now is getting on the ballot. So starting January 1st, we will be able to collect 2,000 signatures of registered Greens, and we're going to have a New Year's Eve party at the Portland Media Center. My campaign will be there. At the stroke of midnight, we can start signing those petitions, and we will also be collecting signatures, of course, through March, and those are due in March. We need to turn them in. So if you haven't signed up with the campaign online yet, or signed the sheet that's in the back room to get news from the campaign, pledge to give your signature, and make a donation or volunteer to join the team. There are already hundreds of people helping me make it to the U.S. Senate and put the first Green in the U.S. Senate. So thank you for your time. We're in it to win it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Lisa Savage, I mean, so exciting, right? I mean, this is going to be historic, and we're going to do this year, 2020. Next up, I'd like to bring somebody from the past that was here with the Portland Greens. Ben Meiklejohn is not here yet. He's one of the founding members of the Portland Greens. I believe he's en route. So back in the day, there were a lot of other Greens here. Anna Trevarrow, Ben Chipman, John Eder. John Eder, by the way, had to leave. He was here earlier. He sends his love to all of you. He's really inspired by the Portland Greens coming back as it has. And he's just really hopeful for the future. But next up, I'd like to introduce Anna Trevarrow. I first got to know Anna by doing a little bit of phone banking for her back in the day, years and years ago. Why don't you come on up, Anna? She's going to tell you a little bit about what it means to what it was like back in those days, and what it means to be a Green and an office holder here.
Thank you, Justin. Good evening, everyone. I got involved with the Green Party in, I think it was 2007. I met Jacqui Deveneau. I think I filled out a form online. I had just graduated from college, and I was looking to get involved in something that could help save the world. So I picked the Green Party, and later that year I moved to Portland, and that's when I got involved with the Portland Green Party. At that time, they were really focused on recruiting candidates. We had 3 Greens elected to the city council. We had previously had 4 Greens elected to the school board, but I think at that time we might have had one left. And they recruited me very quickly to run for school board. And that was in 2008, and I think I got a call actually from Ben Chipman. He was calling Greens to see if they were ever interested in running for office. And that's how I got involved with that. In 2008, my first run, I was not successful that time. I got, I think, 40% of the vote in a 2-way race. And shortly thereafter, I got recruited to run for an at-large seat on the Portland Charter Commission. That was in 2009, and I was successful in that run and served a year looking at the city charter, ways to revise it. We instituted the elected mayor. Before that, it was an appointed mayor. And as part of that, we got ranked choice voting included in that proposal. So that was a direct result of Greens being on the Charter Commission. Ben Chipman was on there as well. And following that, I served as chair of the state party for a year in 2010. I ran for state rep also in 2010. I got 40% of the vote in a 2-way race. And then in 2011, I served as chair of the Portland Greens. We were active still. We worked a lot on local ordinances. I know, we worked on marijuana referendums. We worked on Congress Square. And in 2013, I ran for school board again, and I got elected that time. It was a 6-way race for 2 seats, and I came in first by 1,000 votes. And thank you. In my first term, I became chair of the curriculum committee. I gained a lot of experience. I ran for re-election in 2016. That I was technically unopposed. It was a 2-way race for 2 seats. And again, I came in first by about 1,000 votes. And in my second term, I became chair of the school board. I served 2 years as chair of the board. And that was the first time the Greens had ever had anybody serve in that role as well. Thank you. I'm going on serving my 3rd year on the as the finance committee chair. So in that role, we've been able to advocate for funding. I mean, that's obviously always our biggest challenge on the school board because we don't have control over the bottom line of our own budget. It's set by the council. So we can always just lobby as hard as we can at the state level and at the local level to fully fund education. But we were able last year to make investments in behavioral learning and to expand pre-K. So those are some significant investments and accomplishments that we had last year that we're implementing this year. What else? While I was chair, we passed some very meaningful resolutions. One of them was to support the council to put forward a measure that would allow non-citizens to vote in local elections. That was something that we had done or had tried to do on the Charter Commission as well. And I was active in writing a minority report in support of legal residents being able to vote in local elections. We also passed resolutions against hate speech. We had an incident at Casco Bay High School where some of our students were targeted based on race. And in response to that, we passed a series of resolutions standing up against hate speech and reaffirming our staff's rights to free speech so that they could feel comfortable talking to their students about these issues in the classroom. We also changed Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day in the in the school calendar during the years that I was chair. So these are ways that Greens can really affect change in elected office. I was asked kind of to share some anecdotes as well, and I was thinking about it this evening. I remember in 2010, I think, after I had run for state rep, I had lost that evening, and most of our candidates that evening had lost. And that's when, in the Green Party, we're always up against all odds. And I looked to Patrick Quinlan, who was someone who was involved with the Green Party at the time, and I said, how do we keep doing this? We put all this work in, we knock on thousands of doors, and then these are the results that we get. And he said, anytime a Green wins, that's a tiny little miracle. And it made me think, that's what we're in the business of, affecting miracles. It would be a miracle for us to affect the kind of change that needs to happen for our species to survive long term in this world. But that's what we're here for. So I think that's a message I guess I will leave you with tonight, that's what we're here to do, is to affect those kind of miracles. So thanks for your time this evening.
Thank you so much, Anna. Did want to bring up Jake Kulaw, who is one of the co-chairs of the Lavender Caucus. So, Jake, if you want to come up and say a few words about the Lavender Caucus, that'd be really great. Thank you.
Wow, it is blinding. All right. Okay. Hi, my name's Jake Kulaw, and I am co-chair of the Lavender Greens. Reggie is over there somewhere. I'm blinded. He's the chair. And we are the LGBTQ plus caucus of the Greens, and we also invite our straight allies too, because we're all in this together. We've got all these battles to fight, so we need to be in it together. But some of the things we're working on, we're getting some working groups going on being more gender inclusive, including gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, all that stuff is in there. And we're trying to get a gender 101 out for the Green Party to educate some people who might just be unaware of some of the language used to describe gender identity, gender expression. So that's one of the things we're working on. We're also committed to a working group that's working on becoming an anti-racist party in conjunction. So that's another thing that we're working on. And as far as the gender identity, gender expression stuff, I always say, look at, I teach sex ed to high school sophomores. If they can get it, my God, the adults can too. So And I think it's really important, and I think there's a lot of misinformation, and I think there's sometimes just ignorance, and I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just a lack of knowledge, and particularly with our non-binary people. And I would say to, like, people go, well, it's too hard to use the pronoun they, right? And I'm like, it's not really that hard. Just do it. Just be respectful. And yeah. And the other thing is, if somebody like leaves their jacket, we easily go, hey, they left their jacket, right? We do it, without knowing. And so it's easy enough to switch over. So I think it's just shining a light, realizing that we're all in this together, and that just to be respectful and kind to people. You don't have to understand it, but in our opinion, it's really important to be respectful. So that's kind of what we're working on now.
Ben Chipman and Ben Meiklejohn are in the house, and come on both up. Might as well. You guys take turns or something. And
great, thank you, Justin. So it's great to see everybody here. My name's Ben Chipman, and I initially got involved with activism and politics when I was in college in Orono, and I met Ben Meiklejohn there. We were both going to college in Orono, and we both got involved with the Maine Green Party and a lot of other activism that was going on at the time. And after leaving college in Orono, graduating, I ended up moving to Portland, and Ben did as well by coincidence. And so we both ended up being involved in the Green Party here in Portland for a few years. And I learned a lot through that involvement, through that activism, going door to door and helping different candidates running for school board and city council and state representative. And of course, when John Eder got elected in 2002 to the legislature, he hired me to be his legislative aide, and I ended up working at the State House as a legislative aide, and that was a whole other side of things. It's not all about campaigning, it's about legislating and making public policy. And so I learned a lot through that experience. And then after that, along the way, people have been saying, why don't you run for office sometime? You should run for office sometime. And I kept sort of saying, I don't really need to do that. Other people can run. I can just help them, but then eventually I was encouraged to run for the Charter Commission and was elected to serve on that. And that was a great experience because we were able to put some things into the city charter that wouldn't have otherwise been put in there, like ranked choice voting, tying the mayor's pay to the salary of Portland residents, and a few other things like that that weren't being discussed otherwise. And then after that, went on to run for legislature in the House, served 3 terms, and now I'm serving in the Maine State Senate. And so I guess the point I wanted to make to everybody here is that getting involved in activism and being involved in issues and helping people that are running for office, you never know where that's going to lead you. I never knew at the time back in 2000 or 2002 that I would be serving in the state Senate chairing the taxation committee, but that's what I'm doing now. So you meet a lot of neat, great people. You learn a lot along the way, and you never know where it's gonna take you. So being involved is really important. It's a lot of things to be involved in right now, and it's a great time to be involved in activism. So I'd like to let Ben say a few words.
So it's 1994. I'm at college. I'm not politically active at all. I hate politics. I despise it. I can't stand it. Everyone's always fighting. So I'm sitting up at college, and somehow I got involved in the student senate. My dorm had elected me to be their student senator. And the senators are kind of organized. They get the college Democrats, the college Republicans. And I just wanted to save the whales and recycle my stuff. This political party stuff didn't mean anything. So me and Chipman, my fellow colleague, student senator, were hanging out in my dorm room one day. We were also friends. And we were like, these college Democrats and the college Republicans, they're so annoying. They're always rah-rah rallying up for these 2 political parties that neither one of us had felt like we resonated with very well. So we started searching parties, Libertarian, Green, and we found this. Chipman came to my dorm room with a flyer with the Green Party, with the 10 values. And we started looking at them, and we were like, yeah, I agree with every single one of these. It wasn't like a Democrat or Republican Party where, I agree with 30, 40, 50%, but there's another whole part of it I don't agree with. So we called up the Green Party and asked for some more information. They're like, yeah, get involved. A few months later, I ran for president, and this was my vice presidential running mate right here. Fast forward 1999, actually probably 97, I moved to Portland, and the people I got associated with the Green Party, the elders, so to speak, the ones who actually formed the party in the 80s, always encouraged me to run. They said, you should run, you're young, you've got a lot of energy, get out there and run. So and Chipman kept coming around to my new apartment in Portland saying, Meiklejohn, you got to run for something. Like, why? I'm just moved here, People don't know who I am. They're not going to want some out-of-towner running. He goes, no, just run. So we put together these makeshift campaigns in my apartment, making handwritten signs and with paint and handwritten flyers and doing all this stuff. And it seemed like every election cycle that came around, Chipman would come knocking on my door. Ben, what are you going to run for? So anyways, by the time 1999 came around, I had already run for office, 3 times, a couple write-in campaigns I think a couple write-in campaigns is what it was. And so 1999 comes around, and Chipman and I are sitting around in my apartment like we always would, talking about, strangely enough, politics. And we're like, we got to form a Portland Greens. It's 1999. It's an odd-numbered year, and we're like, well, you have to form a political partisan committee, municipal committee, in the even-numbered years when you hold the caucuses, biennial caucuses. So we called up Julie Flynn at the state and said, we don't want to wait a year. We want to form this Portland Greens caucus. And she guided us through and said, well, you can form it in an odd-numbered year. You just go through the same process, but the clerk's not required to be there. There's certain things, that they're not required to give you a room, but we booked a room anyway at City Hall, and we got the list of Greens because Pat LaMarche had just requalified the party, and we found about 50 or 60 Greens in the first month had already enrolled, and we went down, called them all, contacted them. Somehow we tried to contact people, and we convened a caucus. Chipman and I convened a caucus for the first Portland Greens caucus, 1999. I still have the minutes for it. How many people were there? 3 or 4 people. Morgan Dark, Ben Chipman, myself, and another woman whose name I can't recollect. Now, we had 4 people sitting in a room, and we proceeded to lay out a plan for what we wanted to do in Portland. We wanted to run people for office. We wanted to change public policy in the city. Now, this I think is representative of a really important point that everyone needs to be aware of. You can't let numbers get you down. Every caucus season, we have caucuses all across the state, and people get together in a town. They get 2, 3, or 4 people together in a town for a caucus, and then when they get around to the point, what are we going to do? What are we going to organize? 90% of you who will attend a caucus, attended by 2 or 3 people, are going to throw your arms up in the air and say, we don't have enough people to make any change. Don't fall for it. You don't need numbers. You need energy. 4 of us formed the Portland Caucus Committee and proceeded to start electing people. We had a monthly meeting. Every month we'd bring a friend. Eventually we got to the point where meeting at the Peace and Justice Center, we've got 10, 15, 20 people showing up at our meetings. We're running people for office every year. I eventually won the school board in 2001. I served 6 years, and from that point on, the Greens in Portland, you should be proud of yourself. You've won over 20 elections. You've had elected Greens in office every year consecutively for the last 17 years since I was elected. There has not been 1 second of time since I was elected and served starting December 2001, there hasn't been a second of time where there hasn't been a Green elected office holder in Portland. You should be very proud of that. So, if there's anything I can implore you to do, if I can motivate you, inspire you, how many people are not from Portland here? Okay. All of you who are not from Portland, you need hold a caucus come January, and when you get 2 or 3 or 4 people, don't throw your arms in the air. Don't do it. 2, 3, 4 people can get something going. You can get a 17-year streak of elected office holders in your town if you, the 2, the 3, the 4 of you, don't turn around and say, oh, we don't have enough to do anything, we give up. Don't do it. Plan your next meeting, get more people, in time it'll grow. It won't grow if you give up. So we're a small party. That's the thing that suppresses us, is we feel that we don't have the numbers. But we do have the numbers. The people support our positions. We may not have the numbers of party activists, but we don't need them. We need to run for office and give those people out there that do support our views the opportunity to vote for us. So when you get your 3, 4 people together in a caucus, go for it. Elect your chair. Set your next meeting. Bring people every meeting. Go for it. Make it grow. Don't give up. Thank you.
Ben, thank you. Thank you, Ben.
I lived in Maine from 83 to 91. I was not a Green. I didn't know anything about the Green Party. I moved down to Florida in 91, and I was there until 2001 when my mother passed. I got involved with the Green Party when Nader ran in 2000. So I was registered Green in Florida. After my mother passed, I moved back to Maine and went to an event that was being held at the Civic Center and got registered into the Maine Green Party by Meiklejohn and Ben Chipman, who were at the table. So, yeah. I go back a ways, not as far as some of these people do. But the Portland Greens, for a long while, were looked upon by a lot of other states as one of the strongest groups in the United States. And we have gone through some tough times and some rough times, but I am so excited at this point to be working with a group of Greens here in Portland who are so motivated and are just ready to do what needs to be done. This is the most important thing. I have been in this party for over 20 years. And during that time, so many people have complained about our party and put our party down. But here's the thing. We're the only party. There's no other party. You can become an independent, but all you are is one person out there in the crowd. There's no other party that's working against the two-party system. There's no other party that's lasted for 30 years, no one getting paid, and doing all of this work. But it takes a lot of people to do the work. A lot of state parties have problems, and a lot of those problems stem from what goes on at the top of the party. And one of the things about that is that there's so many good Greens, and that's not against anybody in any top of any party, but I'm just saying there's a lot of good Greens out there. But a lot of the good Greens that are out there are so busy, they don't have time to take positions. And your state party is only going to be as good at the state level as the people that are in that one group that are pushing for whatever it needs that you need to get done. So everybody that's in this room that's registered as a Green right now, you can't say the Green Party didn't do this or the Green Party didn't do that. You're Green. You didn't do it. Okay? Get over it. It's easy to walk away from the Green Party. It's easy to complain about somebody that's in the leadership of the party. But unless you're doing the work, the hard work that it takes for no pay, for nothing, then there's not going to be that change, and we're the only party that can make that change. And I'm working right now with a group of people that understand that and are ready to make that change. And Lisa, my God. You know, I've worked on Jill Stein's campaigns both times that she's run. Jill is my age. How she even makes it through one of those campaigns, never mind two, and hasn't stopped since 2010 when she first started running, is beyond me. But Lisa Savage is another Jill Stein. She has the strength, the wisdom, and the determination to make a change in this world. And we're blessed that she's in the Green Party. We're blessed that she's doing this because this is really going to make a change. And we can really do it because here's the thing. When it comes down to the final election, there will be Susan Collins, the Republican. There will be the most corporate Democrat that the Democrats can put forth, the party. All the hardworking Democrats that are out there right now, working for Bernie, working for whoever they're working for, just like last time, are going to be going, what happened? What happened? Well, let's see. As long as I've been around, I've never, ever seen a progressive Democrat as a presidential candidate, and there's a reason for it. They're a corporate party. Corporate parties cannot put progressives as their presidential candidate because they won't have control over them. So it's at a time right now, Lisa will be the only party person running in that election as a true progressive, which means for the first time, progressive Democrats will have a progressive to vote for. So all we have to do is get through the friggin' presidential candidate Democrat primary and get her on the ballot. And then all these people who are going to come out going, what happened, can vote for Lisa because they'll have a progressive to vote for. So I just wanted to put that forth. When you're talking to people and they say, well, I don't want to sign for her because I want to be able to vote for a presidential candidate, you need to remind them what happened to Bernie last time and remind them that the party is owned by the corporations and they can't put a progressive forward. But we have a chance to put a true progressive in the Senate, and that is more important at this point. So take that with you.
Anyways, I've got one more candidate I want to introduce to you all. Many of you already know her. Kelly Merrill is such a bright spark in Portland, reaching out to so many communities. And this is what we're going to be doing here in 2020. We're going to run a slate of candidates from very diverse perspectives and pursuing policy that needs to be pursued that is leaving people behind. So I'm just so fortunate to have Chris and Carolyn and Kelly and so many other Portland Greens, Meg and Anna and Jess and Jackie. I mean, it's really, and Alan Brown, thank you very much, by the way, for doing all sorts of work for this event. He's a York County Green, but we still accept him up here. Anyways, and Eric, yes, Eric, where are you, Eric? Somewhere. He put together the slideshow for tonight. So just really exciting things going on here, and Kelly is a very exciting thing for 2020. So please say a little bit about yourself, and thank you for being here and for running.
Thank you, Justin. Hey. If I had known I was speaking, I might have considered the snow pants one more time. Thanks, everybody, for being here. I'm so grateful to be in a room with so many effective, amazing, incredible, passionate people, and I'm blessed to know every single one of you. I work in areas of harm reduction, housing and climate with different organizations around Portland, with the Portland Overdose Prevention Society, Extinction Rebellion, West End News. And I care deeply about climate because I've seen the world change since I was away for a couple decades. The world has gotten quieter. I care about housing because I've lived in 33 different places and I have to pass that housing instability and chaos on to my son. I care about harm reduction because I was a pain patient for over 16 years. I believe in bodily autonomy and freedom of medicine. And I care about the Green Party because you care about all of those things. All of those things. Being green is easy. I am really excited about running for City Council's at-large seat in 2020 because I'm an idealist, because I'm in a room full of idealists, and because I know we can do better. I know we can create a just and equitable future. It's work. That's all. It's about relationships with each other and the planet and putting kindness and compassion at the center of every single thing that we do and every decision that we make. I am really, really happy to be back in Portland. I grew up in Maine, but I was down in DC for over 20 years. And I can tell you that there is something very, very special happening here in Portland and in this state. And this is a huge opportunity. There's a huge readiness factor. I can feel it, and the people around me are feeling it. People are ready for change. They're ready for the Green Party. So thank you very, very much for coming tonight, and I am really looking forward to working with all of you in the future. Thanks.
Okay, so one other person I'd like to bring up here. Also, I think they will be aspiring for office in the future, and such a great advocate on so many issues here. Likewise, Jess Falero, would you like to come up and say a few words?
Hi, everybody. I can barely see you with all these lights. But for all of those that I do know, it's so great to see you guys. And for those that I'm just meeting, it's great to meet you. My name is Jess. I'm an advocate in the community for people experiencing homelessness. I'm really excited to be at the Greens anniversary tonight. I'm really excited to be celebrating the Greens tonight. I was homeless for 4 years. Homelessness is a massive issue that gratefully our city's now talking about. But to get down to the nitty-gritty, homelessness is just making it by every single day. It's just making it by. It's not knowing where you're sleeping. It's sleeping outside on the cold. And for all you guys know, if you guys see a cardboard box on the street, they put that underneath them because in the wintertime, when you sleep on the sidewalk, it is too cold for you. There are people that are selling themselves to meet their basic needs. This is a very serious issue for me, and I'm very, very excited for Kelly to run for office, to win City Council. I am so excited to have Chris and Carolyn in the State House because we need people that will fight for us. We need people who will fight for these issues because it's time for a change. I am so excited to change the world with all of you in this room. Thank you so much.
So pretty soon we're going to start up with some more music here. You've listened to a lot from the past of Portland Greens, from the future of the Portland Greens. Again, this is it's a time to celebrate. Thank you all for coming out. There are cupcakes over there. Please have a cupcake and get ready for the younger bloods with Meg and Melvin and Marcus and Dan and Josh. Yeah, it's going to be fun. And me, I'm gonna play some saxophone for you. A little bit here. So, Meg Osgood, and Melvin are two beautiful people starting up the Younger Bloods here. I've been lucky enough to be playing with them now for a while. And, we also have Marcus, Dan, and Josh here tonight. But Meg has really just injected a lot of energy and love into the Portland Greens. And I want to get her up here to talk about the Portland Greens and what that means to her. And thank you so much for letting me be part of this celebration.
Thank you, Justin. Hello, everybody. I am Meg, also known as Mama Meg, and I'm with the Younger Bloods tonight. I am also a recent Green. This summer, I registered Green after being a sad, sad Democrat for years. I'm part of a few local groups here. I'm part of Extinction Rebellion. I am part of the Yes on One campaign. And I am part of the Portland Greens as an event organizer and a communications specialist.
Woo!
Thank you all so much. I am so happy to be able to be part of the Greens now. The Maine Green Independent Party has been one of the most inclusive and supportive groups that I've ever had the pleasure of being part of. So thank y'all so much. I really appreciate the good energy here in this group. And I have so much hope for the things that we can achieve, because this happens to be one of the most well-organized, most hard-working groups I've ever been a part of. And I know that we can implement the change that we want to see in this world.
Yeah. Woo!
As of now, I would like to introduce my band, the Younger Bloods!
Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody who needs to be upstage, come on upstage. Do we have everybody here?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we all here. All right. Then we are going to start things off right away with one of our original songs. This is called Music, Music, Music. And it's about my most favorite thing to do on this planet. Let's do this.
Ready?
1, 2, 3, 4. There's a few things in this world that keep people together. Some chase money, some chase love. I like music better. We owe it to all the musicians who pay for. Come on! No matter what's going on, we're gonna play. Baby, I got to do my thing.
Music, music, music.
Feeling so good when I sing. Come on,
Music,
come on!
music, music.
Baby, tell me what it's all about.
Music, music, music.
When I'm sad or down and out. Music, music, music. Come on, everybody, let's have a real good time now. Tell them like it is, baby.
Trouble on in these shoes, got them walking blues. Only one thing that gets me by with all I've been through. That's the reason why I never give it up.
Let me explain.
For better words, think I'm saying.
Music is who I am.
Baby, you know what I'm talking about.
Music, music, music.
One thing we can live without.
Music, music, music.
Baby, you know what's on my mind.
Music, music, music.
That one thing we can leave behind.
Music, music.
Music.
When life hurts me so damn bad, I start to lose control. I focus on the only thing that comes straight from my soul. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Take it away on those horns. Come on. Keep it going, keep it going. Yeah. Here we go. Baby, you know what's on my mind. Music, music, music. I won't ever leave behind.
Music, music, music.
Baby, you know that it turns me on.
Music, music, music.
Keep on playing night long. Music, music, music. Oh. I can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. No matter what they say, I'm gonna play this music anyway. Can't stop, won't stop. No matter what they do, I'm gonna play this music just for you. Can't stop, won't stop. I can't stop, won't stop. That funky, funky music. Can't stop, won't stop. Music, music, music. We're gonna have a little bit of fun, and we're just gonna express ourselves. Let's do it. Express yourself. Express yourself. You don't ever need help from nobody else. All you got to do now, express yourself. Whatever you do, do it good. Yeah. Whatever you do, do it good. Oh yeah. It's not what you look like when you're doing what you're doing. It's what you're doing when you're doing what you look like you're doing. Express yourself. Express yourself. Yeah. They do it on the moon, y'all. In the jungle too. Ooh. Everybody in the Green Party was bouncing like a kangaroo. So let the guitar do its thing too. Some people have everything, other people don't.